All right, here's the Kelltrac long travel front coilover suspension for the 6th gen Camaro. Installation, take out your factory strut. These are big, like 22 millimeter, 21 millimeter, and 19, something like that. These are splined, so don't try to take the bolt out. You have to hammer them out. So get the nut out to the end of the bolt and then whack it with a hammer and it'll come out. Top has a nice plate. I always tack those, they're pressed in there. I always tack them just because, but it should be fine. The gold spacers that come on each strut, that goes on the inside between the knuckle and the actual coilover. Can you see that? There's 4 of them, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. I called Kelly just to make sure of that. One thing cool that he does is he sends these adjustment collared bolts if you need them. You see how they're shouldered for alignment. That goes in the top if you need it. I'm gonna run in the stock bolts, snug them down, and see what my camber is. If I need to, I'll take the top one out and put that adjustment one in for the alignment rack. But there's a little bit of play in the top here. He marks it driver's side, outside, makes it pretty dummy proof. Lock washers, nylon nuts. This does have some play, so you can move stuff around. Right now I just cinched it kind of all the way out. I believe what he told me was out is less camber. So that's just snugged up till I get on the alignment. If I need more or less, like I said, I can always use that adjustment shoulder bolt right there. Here's one of the factory struts, 19 pounds or so. Here's the Kelltrac. About 17, so 2 pounds. All right, I'm putting the rear coilovers on from Kelltrac. Take the factory shock off. It's just an 18 mil, just the bolt. The nut is welded on there, so don't try to get the nut off on the other side. This is just the bolt out on this side. 18, 315s on the top. You can pull the shock out. This is how I do the springs. There's no real tension on this. It's just to hold it. And then I just come in with my cutoff wheel and rip that, and it doesn't shoot out or do anything. And no sense in using torches or dropping the control arm. It takes like 10 seconds just to cut through this with a good cutoff wheel. All right, that took like 30 seconds. 15's on the top, 18 bolt. Again, leave the nut. The nut's on the side of the control arm. Settings are there. And then I don't know about the ride height yet, so I'm just gonna leave this loose until I get it back on the ground and put some weight on it. This is what I did on all 4 corners. I set the ride height at each fender, and then I did the center of the rear backer, the center of the rear bumper, and then I did the center of the front bumper. So I can set the ride height at exactly 30 inches with the coilovers on the back and whatever I had on the front. When I did that the same way, that way I could set the same ride height. I like the ride height of the factory look. It fits on the trailer, it doesn't scrape anything, especially with the turbos underneath the remote mounts. I don't want to even think about hitting anything on the ground. So from here, it's all just going to be compression and rebound. Kelly sends those specs in the email when you buy them. This is a really nice piece here. And then I'll put the weight difference between the old stuff. Yeah, so right here, rip it with the cutoff wheel. No issues, takes 30 seconds. One more thing, I forgot to do it on the other side, or to video it, is if you run a 275 or any type of bigger tire on these 6th gen Camaros, you're gonna rub here. It blew through on my liners here, and it rubs on this, so pound this down with a hammer. This little body flange here, there's 2 pieces that are molded together, and it's got some caulk in there. Do that on both sides, because that is definitely hitting the tire. All right, Got factory rear shock and spring with the rubber isolators, and 12 pounds. So maybe a pound and a half, a pound per side. Kelltrac rear coilover, 11 pounds. All right, the car is at the factory ride height with the long travel Kelltracs. 29 inches is what the factory ride height was. And when I jacked it up, it raised that mark to 35, the top mark to 35, right as the front tires came off of the ground. So now I'll jack it up and see how much more separation there is. All right, here is the suspension. It was 35 with the factory strut, and now it's 37 and a quarter. Same tires, same jacks. I got both sides. The car's level. Both tires are just barely on the ground. I can barely move them. Ugh. Which is the same way that I measured the 35. The center of the wheel to the ground. On the ground, same tape measure. Picked up 2 1/4 inches. 35 was the original mark. It's at 37 1/4. And then I have the Kelltrac with the 125 springs, and bump stops are at the very top.